Welcome to Joe's Atmosphere.
All right, boys and girls, welcome aboard. This is your host, Joe's Atmosphere, and you are watching Sketching the Privateer. Do this every Saturday afternoon at 1:30 p.m. Central. Hope you're having a good Saturday. I'm in between my days of work. Whenever I do this show, I've got about an hour before I have to go to work. That's why it only lasts an hour every time I do it. It's good to see you guys. Hope you're all doing well this fine Saturday. And I promised you a catch-up stream for those of you that haven't been watching. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to give you a quick rundown on what's been going on with the comic book. Now, of course, the first thing we did was to get the promotional posters for the comic book. 1 second. There it goes. All right. Bear with me real quick, guys. No matter how much you prepare, sometimes you just screw up the detail. Let's see. Okay, so let's see. That way, yeah, that looks good. Look this way. Yeah, not as much. Dark and bigger. This way. All right. Well, boys and girls, this is the first thing we did was make these promotional posters. Okay, and what I did was I did the artwork. You see this at the beginning of the show. Whenever I show you this little video here, I sketched them, and then I used a program called Procreate to do all the inks and the colors and so forth. I just took a picture of it and put it on the Procreate program, and that's how we came up with the promotional posters. Now we're going to be adding these to the website here pretty quick. I haven't set up the marketplace on the website, but I'm hoping to do it this next week, and I'll be able to let you know for sure next week what's going on with that. that was the first thing we did. We got 3 different posters. I'll show them to you real quick. Got to switch between cameras sometimes here. Let's see if I can do this correctly. It should switch pretty fast. Yeah, there we go. I don't know why that doesn't fill up the whole screen, but it doesn't. I'm gonna have to deal with that. But let's switch around here. You guys should be able to see what's going on. Back this out a little bit. Okay. So these are the 3 posters. You've got the Privateer. And you got the Royal Fox. Alright? And you got one with both of them. That's the 3 posters I made. Girls 16 by 20. And I've given out a few of these. A few of my friends have signed copies of these in the house. Justifier Jim's got his set finally up. He showed me pictures of it the other day, so I'm glad to see that. He's my biggest fan when it comes to this. He's been my biggest supporter too. That's why he's totally. Anyway, we're gonna have these on the website for you soon. We have just been so busy down here. You know, it's springtime, so we're getting the yard ready and everything. So I promise you, I'm gonna lead footing it into this in the next month or so. Daniel Rivers. Put that on a t-shirt, bro. That one too. Yeah. The t-shirts, they look pretty good when they're made. I have a t-shirt of the Privateer one on the back with a Privateer logo. Just put it on. Anyway, so let's get you caught up. What's happening with the book? First of all, we got the cover. Right? And what the cover's going to look like is just the camera. See it. Now, what I do in this show is I plot the pages of the book, right? And the way I'm doing it on regular paper. Like I said, I draw it in pencil, then I take a picture of it, manipulate it to get some contrast going and stuff, and then put it as a layer into a program called Procreate. Okay, so that's how I'm doing it. I'm doing all the inks and stuff digitally. This is the cover for issue 1. Of course, it's got the big written in cursive because he's from the 1700s, so they were writing in cursive or Old English back then. So it's written in cursive, the Privateer, right? And as you can see, it's him holding the flintlock in his hand. Of course, they'll watch the trigger. Have your finger on the trigger unless you're going to fire, right? And then he's hanging out the side of a Huey helicopter like Rambo, kind of. That's the image I wanted to put on the first page. First sheet of the cover. The first page is a Coast Guard cutter. It's right around the 12-mile limit around Miami in the Atlantic Ocean. And right here's a radar screen, and they get a warning that they've got 3 targets on the radar screen. The captain starts giving orders, to everybody get to their stations and stuff, right? And the guy with the binoculars right here, this is his eyes right here in this panel. And if you guys have ever seen the cover to, what is the name of that album? Straight Between the Eyes by Rainbow. Straight Between the Eyes by Rainbow. This is pretty much a duplicate of that cover without the guitar neck busting through it at the bridge of his nose. It's kind of an ode to that because I've always loved that album cover. Anyway, he's looking shocked at what he sees through the binoculars. That's page 1. Page 2. We got the privateer, you know, just like on the cover, right? And we got an old school Hind helicopter. This thing is basically a flying tank. Have you seen the Rambo movie where he fights in Afghanistan? What is that, Rambo 3, Dan? I think it is. He flies one of these. Or no, is it at the end of? Doesn't he blows? Yeah, he blows up. Yeah, his enemy's flying one of these, I think, in the second one. I can't remember, but you've seen one of these in the Rambo movies before. Anyway, it's strafing the deck of the Coast Guard cutter. It's actually running security for 2 drug boats. That's the free targets they have, right? So, and this is the crew running for their lives on the deck, right? Okay. You got page 3. You got the captain calling for a mayday because he knows he's outgunned. You know, it's a Coast Guard cutter. They can fire back and everything, but they can't do anything about this flying tank that's coming at them, right? Because basically, if you've ever seen a Hind helicopter, that's what they are. They're flying tanks. Yeah, that's what I thought. It was number 3, right, man? Yeah. Anyway, he's calling for a mayday for help. Then you see this. It's fitted with some torpedoes because then it's running security over the ocean, right? So you see right here it says chink, and it's dropping a torpedo, and that's the boat running away from it. Comes in on a strafing run, right? And then right here, this panel down here, you get the first glimpse of the privateer and what he's doing. You see the Hind helicopter passing over and turning in front of this helicopter right here. Now, this helicopter is acting like it's all by itself. It's not even reacting to this. You're seeing through the cockpit of a Huey helicopter right here, and the 2 pilots. And then you see right here in the bottom corner the privateer, and he's telling them to turn up the radio, right, so he can hear the chatter that's going on, right? And you know he's got a grimace, and you see his mustache and everything. But you can't see him in all his glory yet, right? Then the very next scene, on page 4, the torpedo hits, blows a hole in the deck. Guys diving out, another guy's running, and this person right here, I think that's a female, gets hit and blown backwards, right? And as she's climbing up, the Hind helicopter is coming in for another run, okay? And then you see the eye patch of the privateer, and just to show you all the stuff that the privateer has. It's all old school looking, but it's actually high tech. He's kind of like Batman. He's got all the military contracts. He owns all those companies, and you'll find out how he did that as the story progresses. But that eye patch, actually, he sees better at that eye patch than he does his own eye. And you see the eye patch here, and the scowl, and that's the tip of his tri-cornered hat. Okay, and what he's going to say in this panel, he's going to say, "Bring us in low," right? And then the very next one, page 5, you get to see him in all his glory as the helicopter. Guys inside the helicopter, what they do is they fold space. Now, this concept will be explained as the book goes on, but basically, they're in another area, and they fold space to get to here. They've been monitoring this stuff, right? And he jumps out of the helicopter between the Hind helicopter and the woman on the deck, right? You see him, he's got a trench coat on with it's like a split cape, and they're both red, and as you can see here in the bottom picture here, it symbolizes the stripes in the flag, okay? So he jumps down, gets between them, right? And you see this line around his whole body. He's got a shield on, a kinetic shield. So anything physical is going to fly right up to him, and he doesn't want to hurt people, so it's kind of like a gel thing around him. Whatever, it soaks up the inertia, just grabs it and drops to the ground. So there's no ricocheting bullets, right? So right here, you see him covering her up, and all the bullets coming through, just getting into his shield and stopping, right? And then he asks her if she's okay, and she says, "Where'd you come from?" And at the same time, the guys in the behind helicopter say the same thing. I'm probably going to put this right in between the panels. Where did you come from, right? And it's going to be said by all of them, okay? And then the last panel on page 6 is the commander of the boat telling them to keep calling for help, and he's going to go get their person off the deck, right? He's got his pistol ready, okay? So that's page 6. And Danny says, "Badass." I appreciate it, brother. And then page 7, we're still in issue 1. I'm already halfway done issue 2, plotting it. The detail work is what I gotta get to work on, but I got a few months before we put this out. Okay, so the commander comes out and draws down on the privateer. He doesn't know who this guy is. I mean, he sees the colors and everything. You can't miss the Colonial 13 stars on his back, right? You can't miss any of that stuff. But he doesn't know who this guy is, right? So, now let me get some of this out of the way. I'm going to start sliding off on me. So he draws down on him and tells him to freeze, and he stands up, and you see the helicopter over his shoulder is coming in for another run, right? And the captain of the boat just keeps the pistol on him. And he tells the captain, "I'm not your enemy," right? And then we find out just how well he can see out of that eye. Right here, you got half of his face right here, and you see the illuminated red dot on his eye patch, right? And what he's doing is he's targeting different things on the helicopter, and he whips out his flintlock. It looks like a flintlock. You see here, it looks like a flintlock, but it actually can go full auto or anything he wants it to do. All his stuff, it's to throw his enemies off, make them think he's got archaic equipment when he really doesn't, right? He fires 3 shots, one at the rotors, one at one of the pilots, and one at the other pilot, and he hits them in the helmet. Doesn't want to kill them, right? He wants to capture them, right? And right here, you're going to see the captain shoot at him in the back, once again showing you that he's got that shield on. Because he's going to react to it as soon as he pulls his weapon, right? So that's what happened on this page. And as he's doing it, he says, "They were," up here he says, "I'm not your enemy, they were," right? So we got page 8. You see the helicopter going down, and that he's disabled and pretty much knocked the other 2 guys unconscious, right? But they're going to die in the wreck. You know, he's not going to directly kill anybody. At least he's going to try not to. But the helicopter goes down. The captain there's a fire going on the deck from the torpedo. He picks up the female crew member, and the captain's still got the gun on him, and he keeps the gun on him until he sees the Huey helicopter folding space again, and it comes through, and then the Seahawk comes through his ship, and this is the captain looking all surprised. It's a big half panel with the helicopter flying. There's a bunch of guys on deck working, and it's like a 16-gun man of war. This thing. It looks just like one from the 1700s from the British fleet, right? But like I said, it just looks like that. It's got all these cannons are like laser cannons and shit. So anyway, that's page 8. Then on page 9, that's the opening scene. We're done with it in 8 pages. And then in page 9, we see a bunker in Siberia. It kind of looks like the one in GoldenEye. You know, the one that the Russians had the GoldenEye thing in? Yeah, there's a snowstorm going on and all this other stuff. And you see a guy with a flat top, and he's obviously a big dude because he's got thick neck and short flat top haircut. And this is Communist Reign. That's who this is. This is the guy that he's the privateer's nemesis. Okay, Anyway, he's got a bunch of friggin' TVs in front of him, a bunch of monitors, and one of his people tells him, "Hey, we lost the shipment," and he's asking what happened, and he says, "I can't tell yet. I don't know what's going on. You know, I'll have to send some people and find out what's up." But it looks like they've been arrested, and he says, "Well, you have some people there to deal with that, right?" And as he's walking away from the TV, and the guy on the TV screen, he has a turban on, and you can see he's visibly scared of this dude. And then on page 10, it's a full page thing of this guy looking scared on the big monitor, and the desk itself where he was sitting, he's walking away from it. You see he's walking down some stairs. As you can see, this whole place is a hammer and sickle. Communist Brain's name is Ivan Rakhmanovich, and he was a special forces soldier in Afghanistan when the Russians were there before us, back in the late 80s, early 90s, right? And whenever they pulled out of Afghanistan, he was so upset, he started raising a bunch of hell, and his father, who was part of the Politburo, turned his back on him for going against the big guys in the government, and they locked him up and put him in Siberia. And he escaped, and that's when he started forming his plan to bring the Soviet Union back together, kind of like Booty Tang is trying to do right now. Anyway, let's see. Monster concept. I can't wait to see in color. Yeah, me too, man. I like what I'm doing. Let's see. I released 12 shorts, Joe. Okay, I'll check it out. Real Weight Nation. No problem, man. Good to see you. But anyway, that's page 10. We're halfway through the first issue. Then we've got page 11. This is the aftermath. You see the Seahawk sailing away from us, and a little bit of exposition talking about what's going on. And Privateer is leading the captain down, no, he's coming down to check on everybody in the medical bay. There's people down here being tended to that were hurt. The captain sees him come in and starts getting mouthy with him. He's like, "Look, Captain, you gotta relax. You know, I'm trying to help you. You know." And here's another half a face of him right here, and the person that he saved on the deck is telling him thank you, and he takes off his hat and says no thank you, right? And so then he's escorting the captain out of the med bay, and you see there's soldiers all through the ship, and they've got berets on, and they're all saluting him as he goes by, right? And he goes to open the door and brings him out on the deck, and he sees this big splash page of the wreckage of the helicopter. They brought it on board. He lets him know that the two pilots are gone. They drowned in the wreck. And what's really neat, and this is something I collaborate with my friends. My buddy Justifier Jim thought it would be cool, since like his flintlock and his musket that you're going to see him use later on. He's got a rifle, and all of it's high tech, right? And we always got seagulls flying right around the ship. Well, these seagulls are actually drones. They're mechanical seagulls, but from a distance they look like the real thing, right? So he shows him what's going on. He's just surprised by it. He continues to explain to him on page 13, "Look, I can't tell you who I am. I can't tell you what I do, but I can tell you I'm on your side. We're part of the same team." And he tells him that I'm going to have to put your men off the boat now, and pretty quick here, and you're going to have to. We've already got people on the way to pick you up, right? But he can't directly dock this thing anywhere. Nobody's supposed to know about this ship. Then we have a transition right here, mid-page, to the tugboats getting captured in Miami by the police, right? And that's the story he's telling him. That's the transition. The exposition is him telling him about the arrests in Miami, right? And once we get there, we see the police van and we see a guy with an RPG on top of an overpass, right? It's one of these, what do they call them? You know how you'll have a tunnel going across a walkway, I guess, a breezeway or something like that. A lot of places have them across streets when they have a parking garage and a building across from it. Anyway, that's what this guy's on top of. Okay, and he's clearly not military. This guy's got a do-rag on. He's got a. I haven't figured out which player he's going to have a jersey of, but it's a basketball jersey he's got on. Okay, he's clearly not military. Let's see. Let me get back to my chats here. F the gov, Dan says. My brother, he's too much. Do you have the dialogue complete for each panel? No, I do not. That's another thing I got to do. But I have this script. I do this off the script. I've written I've written the first 3 comics, which take up the entire origin story. Okay, but I just don't have the dialogue. Which I want to do a little research and get some of the language of the time, so I can make him sound like he's from the 70s. Kind of like Thor, kind of like what they did with Thor in the Marvel comics, you know. Anyway, yeah, I'm running out of room here again. Page 14 is the view from the back of the police van. Okay, let's see. Buckfire says hi. Good job, still doing the thing. Yeah, man, you know I am. But this is the back of the van, right? And the guy with the RPG, you can see him, and kind of the camera pans through to the front of the van, okay, as we go, and you see more and more people inside the van, and he's fired it, and the rocket's coming at him. And what's going on here is these guys are bitching, saying, "You have got to get us to the police station fast. We're not going to make it. They're going to kill us," you know. And the guys in the front are like, "Calm down," and the passenger turns around and yells out right before the RPG hits. And this panel right here shows the van being blown ass end up, and this guy running with the RPG. So that's what's going to happen on that page. And then page 15. Gotta get rid of some more of this book. Okay. Page 15. That's the Seahawk putting off the crew of the postcard cutter, right? And he explains to him, he says, "Hey, look, I just, you know, it's confidential. I can't tell you about it. You know." And he thanks it. The commander finally says thanks to him. He says, "Don't worry about it, man. Got you covered. Just, you know, don't say anything. It's classified." You know what I mean? And he understands. They put him off, and they got somebody to pick him up. And on the next page, on 16, we see the Seahawk, which is the name of the ship, leaving, and you see one of the drones, right? One of the drones is hanging out to wait and make sure that they get picked up. That's why it's there, right? And then one of his men comes up and tells him, "Hey, the guys that got arrested," he lets him know that the guys that got arrested in Miami were killed. There was an explosion, right? The van was taken out. And so he's kind of upset. This guy that delivers the news walks away, and he's looking at them moving the wreckage of the helicopter, and they're folding space here. I'm going to show some of the. You see the rings here. These guys are standing right by it too. They've done this a million times with it, and so they're not frightened by this at all. It's basically like it's almost like a teleporter in Star Trek, but it's a different concept. It's folding space. And like I said, it'll be explained during the book. And then we see his eyes again, and he's thinking to himself, "I'll find you," right? That's what he's saying. And then we see those same set of eyes to start page 17, but it's much younger, and he doesn't have the high-tech eye patch. We've gone back in time at this point, okay? And he says again, "I will find you," right? Where's he at? He's in Kabul, Afghanistan. And it's, about 2003, I think? Around 2003? He's just sitting here reading the paper, right? He's got got hair in a ponytail, you know. P.A.T.R.I.O. always has a ponytail, okay, you know. Anyway, there's a bunch of Afghan citizens walking around, and there's a guy with glasses walking into a store, and he walks in right behind him. And these guys are obviously chattering, and when the guy behind the desk sees him come in, he says, "Can I help you?" And he looks at the guy with the glasses that walked in and says, "Osama bin Laden." That's all he says, and these guys freak out, right? What it is he's tracked Osama bin Laden's doctor and found him. It's taken him a couple of years, but he found him. Okay, so of course a fight ensues. The next thing we see, that doctor's getting launched out the friggin' window of the store, and he hits a van across the street, right? And the privateer comes walking through, and you see him on the ground, you know, and farther away from him, you see him come through the door. He's coming after him, and you see a bunch of citizens on the streets grab him, right? And they're holding him back and stuff, and he starts fighting them off. And then there's a rifle to his head, and you hear click, right? And it's U.S. Army soldiers that are patrolling the streets. They capture him, okay? And he sees who it is and doesn't fight. He's not going to fight his own troops, right? So then on page 19, you've got him in prison now, and he's at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. That's where he's at. They've sent him there, okay? And they go into he's going to be questioned, so they go into his cell. They put the handcuffs on him, and they escort him to the interview table. They chain the handcuffs to the table, and the guy that is interviewing him asks him what his name is, and he says his name is Robert P.A.T.R.I.O.T, which is me and my brother's grandfather on my mother's side. That's who I decided to name him after. And he says, and the guy stops and says, "The billionaire," right? And he doesn't react to it at all. And he asks him, "How old are you?" And he says something like, I have to do the math real quick, but let's see. Yeah, he says 253 years old. And the guy goes, "What? What are you talking about?" And in the final page of the first issue, Patriot stands up, breaks his cuffs, right, breaks the chain and everything, and he tells him, "I was born in the year of our Lord 1750. I was a pirate. I'm a patriot. I am the privateer," right? And then you see the name of the next issue is called Privateer Unchained, right? And you see a guy that's watching this through a two-way mirror, getting on the phone saying, "Get me the Pentagon," right? And that's how the first issue ends. Okay? The privateer is actually going to get captured in the first book by his own friggin' troops. Let's see. Mudbug says, "Hey, old man Joe, it's good to see you, Don. How you doing? I need privateer swag. The privateer in jail." Hey, he's not there for long, Dan. But anyway, yeah, the swag is coming, man. I'm gonna get with Rhonda this week, and we're gonna because we've got coffee mugs we want to sell. Of course, these posters are gonna be available on there, and some other things. But we're gonna do that this week. And like I said at the beginning of the show, I'll have it better set up next week. And I will have links and all that stuff next week for the website. So we move on to issue 2. I always draw the cover last. That one of him hanging out the Huey, I thought that was the coolest part of the book. So I made that the opening scene, the cover page. The only other thing I want to do for a cover, and I may do it for the 3rd issue, is have the Privateer family on the cover, which is the Royal Fox, the Privateer, Regal Inferno, which is my daughter, and American Fox, which is Foxy's son. Okay, so I'm probably going to do something like a movie poster type deal for the third issue, which is the wrap up of his origin story. But this one is going to have the privateer up top, right? And we're going to see a news crew in Miami, okay, at the site of the wreck of the police van. And there's a reporter here talking and stuff, and he's trying to question the police officer close to him, and he's like, look, you need to get back. We're trying to get something done here, blah, 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 blah. And then right here, we're going to see an emergency responder, probably, I don't think it's going to be a policeman, I think it's going to be a fireman. He yells out, "We got one!" And you see him in the background, and everybody's surprised, right? This crowd that's around the reporter and stuff. Okay, that's the opening page of that one. And then what we've got to open the second issue is a 2-page spread, actually. Pages 2 and 3. There's going to be a 2-page spread. I don't know, can you see all of that? Yeah, you can see all of that. Let's see. No brother character? Not yet, Daniel. Not yet. We might do that. Let's see. I'm dark. Only show up once a year. Break glass in case of emergency character. There you go, man. Yeah, that'd be cool. All right. Let's see about that. Maybe we'll make Swift Hand a character on here, man. Maybe we will. I'm going to leave that for you. You need to do that. We'll come up with something. But anyway, the title of the book is The Privateer Unchained, right? You see a news helicopter right here. You see a first responder helicopter right here on the ground. You see guys pulling debris away from a slumped over body, okay? And there's guys running to try and help, right? And you see the fire going on in the background from the van and stuff. This guy's clearly blown clear of the vehicle, and it's going to be a cop. Going to be a police officer. The thing I'm showing right here is his vest. That's probably what saved the blast, okay? Anyway, we've got 2 sub-panels on each one of them, and it's both sides reacting to this one event because it's going out on television, okay? Communist Rain telling this guy on the screen, hey, you get somebody there to shut that guy up. The privateer is watching the TV, and he's saying, we got to get, I've got to send somebody there. He's going to be thinking, I got to send somebody there to protect this guy. Whoever did this is going to be trying to kill him, right? So, yeah, this is the incident that's going to be the conflict that starts everything off in this book, okay? So, that's pages 2 and 3. And page 4, we're back at Guantanamo Bay. We got a shot of the prison itself. And then we got the commanding officer coming in because the guard has got a rifle on the privateer, right? And he's about to react. He's about to bust him up. He's not going to kill him, but he's going to try and get the rifle on him, right? And then the commanding officer says, please have a seat, you know, didn't know who you were, blah, 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 blah. And they take the cuffs off of it. And he says, well, what are you doing here? They know he's a billionaire. They know he's got tons of money. What is he doing in a war zone, right? They want to know this stuff. And he says, well, it's a long story. And he starts telling his origin story to them, okay? And that's where we transition to his origin story. The farm in Maine. And the reason why I made it Maine was, first of all, my brother and I's family is from Maine on our mother's side. The other reason is this. I'm going to try and infuse some real history into this because, you know, they're not really teaching history too well in school right now, so why not teach it through the comic book, right? And the town that he lives closest to, of course, he lives in rural Maine, but the place where he goes to get his supplies and stuff is a town called Marquise, Maine. And if you look it up, it was the site of the very first naval battle of the American Revolution. A bunch of townsfolk that got fed up with the Brits pressing them into service to guard their ships and stuff when they were bringing supplies, got together with pitchforks, planks of wood for armor, and a few flintlocks. And when they were leaving port one day, they took the boat. They caught up to them in their own boats and took the ship. So look it up. It's the first naval battle of the American Revolution. And that's the town he lives close to. Okay. Anyway, we get a wide shot of the farm itself. You know, we got corral over here for well, actually, it's over here for horses and stuff, and this is for livestock, you know, chickens and stuff over here. And we got a wagon. Okay, and then we're gonna see the privateer as a young boy being taught, you know, reading, and his mom cooking while they're reading, and his dad showing him how to till ground. And right here, this panel, there's a wrecked. They've got a broken wheel on the cart, and we're going to find out in this panel that the privateer is a really sharp cookie. He's good at building stuff. And he figures out a way to get the wheel onto there really easily, you know, and impresses his dad, right? And then at the bottom, this part of the page right here, we see a naval press gang arriving in Marquise, Maine. Now, what was going on back then was they couldn't get anybody to serve in the Royal Navy, right? So what they would do is they'd come to the colonies with what they called press gangs. Basically, the gang of thugs with a sergeant in charge, and they would come to town, and if you were of fighting age, between the age of about 15 and 40, they just basically, you know, beat you senseless, put a bag over your head, and drug you into basically slavery in the Royal Navy. So this is a press gang showing up in Marquise, Maine, and this is the whole thing that's going to get him going down his path of being a superhero. What happens on page 6, and once again, don't forget, we're in the 1700s here, about 1762 at this point. About 12 years old when this happened. Anyway, the moon is still out, sun's fixing to come up, right? And the press gang shows up, and Dad's out there tending to the chickens, right? And here they come. They're going to confront him. And I love the shot with half a face. As you guys know, my logo is half a face. So, you know, I dig that shot. I always have. Anyway, they're coming over his shoulder, and he whips around with a 2x4 and starts swinging. He hits one of them, and they get to fight. Mom hears what's going on. She comes running out with a musket and draws down on him. And here comes young Robert right here. And the father's name is Joseph. Okay? And young Robert's in the doorway, wondering what's going on, right? And Mama's sitting there with a musket about to start shooting. And these guys have got a hold of Joseph here, the dad, and they're telling him, you know, to put down the gun. And Robert comes out, and he's got a knife in his hand, okay? And Mom sees him at the door and turns around and isn't looking, and there's a soldier right here with a billy club in his hand and gives her a good whack, and she's out of it. And Robert sticks that friggin' pig sticker into his thigh, and the guy wheels around and knocks into the ground. And Joseph has his hands tied, and he sees his family on the deck, knocked out, both of them on the ground. And then on page 8, Robert wakes up, sees his mother on the ground, and the classic, you know, I'll get you look with him holding his mother upright. She's not dead, she's just knocked out. And then this last part shows how over the course of the next 4 years, he becomes the man in the house way too early, so he gets really, his heart hardens, but so does his body. I show a bunch of stuff, him plowing fields and cutting wood, and you see the grimace on his face. He's kind of pissed at everything, right? And so, on page 9 of issue 2, he goes to town to get some supplies. And he's about 16 at this point, okay? It's 1766, about 10 years before the Declaration of Independence is signed. And he goes into town, and he sees a pirate right by the general store door. And he goes inside, and there's this big burly guy with a sword on his hip, talking about, I don't know why you guys put up with this crap from the British. You'll never be free if you keep doing everything they tell you to do. You need to live like me, that kind of thing. And he goes walking out, and he's talking all kinds of shit. And the privateer asks the store owner, who was that? And he says, oh, that's Greybeard. He's got a pirate ship. And so he goes to check this out. Privateer does, and you see him looking all surprised up top here because he sees the Seahawk for the first time. And guys working on it, they're loading supplies and whatnot, right? And yeah, and of course we got the seagulls out there. We always got the seagulls. Seagulls are a necessary thing. So that's the first. This scene is going to be really huge because it's kind of like Captain Kirk seeing the Enterprise for the first time. You know what I mean? Very impressive sight. And the Seahawk's going to be a character in the story. Let's see. Just reading. F the Brits, he says. That's right. Josie Wales. Yeah, pretty much without the killing. Without the killing. Yeah. I mean, there's going to be, don't get me wrong, Dan, there's going to be killing in this thing, but he doesn't go out of his way to try to kill him. And then page 11, which is the one we drew last week, it's him bringing the supplies home. His mother waving to him. She asks him if anything happened in town, any news, and he says, no, nothing really. And then that night, you see the moon's out, and we see through his window he can't sleep. And the sun comes up the next day. Mom goes looking for him. She comes back inside. She looks on the table and sees that there's a note, and she kind of gasps when she starts reading the note. And most of this page is going to be the note detailing that he's going to go and stow away on the pirate ship to try and find his dad. He's going to try and learn the ways of the sea to try and find his father. So, and right here in the bottom corner, you're going to see him with a sack over his shoulder. And that's where we're at right now in the book. So let me switch cameras, and we'll let you know what's going on with the channel. Hang on. All right. Let me switch cameras. All right, guys. So that is where we're at on sketching the privateer. Jimmy was busy today, so he wasn't able to join me, but that's okay. I love seeing Jimmy's busy. I really do. He's got a really great job now, and he's really enjoying himself. So, it's good to see he's doing things. But that's where we're at. I've been promising you guys a catch-up show in case you haven't seen every episode of this, because I've been chronicling everything I do. I do this. Basically, I have this show once a week to make sure that I keep driving it forward. No matter what's happening, I do this once a week so I can keep it going. I promise you, we're going to take care of the website this week. We're going to get those coffee mugs available and trivets like this. If you like things like this, it's a little glass cutting board with the privateer on it. And also, Rhonda's got a lot of ideas for merchandise. I think my website has enough room on its store for like 12 items. One of them is going to be the posters, of course, and I showed you those at the beginning of the video. So be looking out for that stuff, and I will definitely highlight it this week. All you have to do is go to JoesAtmosfere, as it's spelled right here on the screen, .com. That's my website. But anyway, let's let you know what's going on with the channel before we get out of here. Of course, you're watching Sketching the Privateer, where I plot my comic book, usually co-hosted by Justifier Jim. We do it every afternoon, or every Saturday afternoon at 1:30 p.m. Central. Let's see. My brother says, yes, I would love to give you my money. I hear you, man. Don't worry. I'm going to get you some stuff up there. We're going to get some T-shirts up there and stuff. The T-shirt that she came up with is really nice. We're going to get that on the storefront this week. Okay. And then we got tomorrow afternoon at 1 p.m. Central. You can watch me on Dork Side of the Ring. My man the Dork Knight from Las Vegas, his show on wrestling, and I'm his co-host, and we also have another guy named Johnny Rock that's on there that lives in Vegas as well. And I do a segment called State of the Apron, where I chronicle what's going on in the smaller promotions and indies. And I'm actually going to be interviewing a friend of my brother's this week, a girl named Nikki Victory. She's an independent wrestler around the Dallas area. So I'll be looking forward to that on Sundays at 1 p.m. Central, and it's brought to you by Pop Culture Minefield and KGRA Digital Broadcasting. And then, of course, on Wednesdays, you can see me and my friends get together as we do State of the Atmosphere. It's just a 2-hour get-together between friends talking about stuff we dig. And this week, I don't have the thumbnail made for it yet, but we are going to be talking all about Star Wars Celebration, all the stuff they have planned. Yes, Daisy Ridley's back. Looks like Rey's going to be in a movie. They've got a lot planned. We're going to break it down with Knock, who is a huge Star Wars fanatic. He'll be able to fill us in on everything. And we're going to talk about the new Ahsoka trailer and all that stuff. And we do this at 5:30 Central PM time every Wednesday. And then later on that night, you can watch me play DC Universe Online, play as the Royal Fox and the Privateer on that game on Papa Joe Gamer After Dark. I do that at 10 p.m. Central for a couple hours. I do it from 10 p.m. Central on Wednesdays and Thursdays. But I'm definitely going to be playing DCO on Wednesdays because I like to get my raids in and stuff like that. And then Thursdays, you get to see the guy that was in the chat talking to me the whole time today, my brother Highlander, as the brothers hack the Matrix. What is the Matrix? What are we talking about? Well, we're talking about the headlines of today. We hack through those headlines and tell you what's really going on. Every Thursday at 6 p.m. Central. And then, of course, you can watch me on Papa Joe Gamer After Dark later that night at 10 o'clock Central Time. So, I want to thank you for tuning in today. And let me check the comments one more time. That's right. There can be only one. Highlander says there can be only one. And that's a fact. You know that. So, did I lose my... I lost my mic. I don't know how you guys could hear me this whole time. Shit. Unbelievable. Well, sorry about that, guys. Hopefully you were able to hear me all right. So that's it for today's show. I want to thank you for being here. And until we see you again, I want you guys to keep on keeping on. God bless.